I'm sorry, I can't do any more of that nonsense. Hello, everybody.
If we're gonna do that, we need like an intro dance.
We do, don't we? There must be somebody in the audience or somebody out there that is a choreographer by training. So we could have
We need an intro dance. Words I've never said.
Yeah, you would have got long odds on that one, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I've probably said that before.
Yeah. So, hello everybody, and welcome to another thrilling episode of the Digital Download, the longest-running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live, now officially syndicated on TuneIn Radio through the IBGR radio network, the world's largest strategy podcast, something like that. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome.
Note to self: Adam does not do sponsor reads.
Yeah, Adam should do, really, shouldn't he? But to be honest with you, I've been so taken up with the conversation that we're going to be having today, because the number of times that we've all heard this, it's LinkedIn, it isn't Facebook, it just beggars belief, doesn't it? So this is LinkedIn, this isn't Facebook. Discuss. But before we discuss, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. So we'll save the best till last. So Rob.
Hi, everybody. I am Rob Durant. I am CEO of the Institute of Sales Professionals here in the U.S. I am also a proud DLA Ignite partner.
Fantastic. Helen.
Yeah, Helen McKenzie, another proud DLA Ignite partner. And, the most interesting thing about me is that I have half shares in a flock of sheep.
Wow. That is brilliant. And I didn't think I'd hear that today either. Tracy.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Tracy Boriston, also a proud DLA Ignite partner. And now I'm trying to figure out how to up that, because the only thing I have shares in is a wine company and the Canadian social media platform, not sheep. And
a half share of an 8-year-old.
Yes, I guess if you're looking at it that way, then yes. Some days it feels more than 50%.
Yeah. And I'm Adam Gray. I'm co-founder of DLA Ignite and a very proud DLA Ignite person, I guess. On LinkedIn.
Look what happens when Tim's not here, you guys. We just we're out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. Like naughty school children with the teacher not here. This is LinkedIn. This isn't Facebook. Who has heard this? Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So why do people get that idea, do we think?
First of all, I mean, both of them are social media platforms. So depending on how you're categorizing them, they could be the same. I think the interesting thing about this is that historic LinkedIn has been created as the professional networking site, right? And Facebook was always more of a friends, family. I mean, if you look at the origination of Facebook, it was a whole bunch of university students, right? And it's funny, actually, because Nicholas and I were in a McDonald's yesterday, which we are not normally in, and one that was right across from a high school at lunchtime. And there's Rob, that's right. If you haven't, please don't do that. Not worth your energy and stress levels. But there's a vibe of that, right? And then there's a vibe of a professional networking conference. And so when we look at that from a vibe point of view and we say okay, this is for Facebook and this is for LinkedIn, we can kind of get that. Except at the end of the day, humans participate in both, right? We have social interactions and we have professional interactions. And then I don't know why we try to segregate them so much. I'm going to let someone else talk now.
Yeah, and I wonder whether some of it's because, when LinkedIn started, it felt like a way to sort of publish your CV. a way to sort of showcase you as a professional person to prospective employers. And on your CV you might have a little bit at the end that says interests, where I might say knitting and traveling, whereas
And cheap.
yes, and cheap. Whereas on social media, I would be saying, getting drunk and making comments about the quality of the football match I'm watching. That would be what I would be doing on social media, so to speak. Putting pictures of the cocktail I'm about to drink and shouting at the ref. So I think there's something there where LinkedIn started, where people felt like it was that, and you see the way that people structure their profiles as being like a CV, as this is me, like a seasoned sales professional who also worked in procurement, with leadership qualities and, a time served lengthy career. And that's how people would put it, rather than crazy in love with procurement, which is my strapline now. So I think that's where it started, and making that transition over to say, well, actually, it is okay to say I'm obsessed with buying guitars, no matter how many I've got, and putting them on the wall behind me and showing them off is a slightly different way of thinking about whether a prospective employer would employ. So I think that's where it started. Where it's going now is interesting.
If it was just a platform for digital CVs, digital resumes, it would be very boring, and nobody would go there. It is a social network for professionals. Have you ever gone to an in-person networking event, spoken with somebody about something other than the job you do? Of course you
Always.
have. Yes, because we're people, and when we're connecting with people, we try and make connections, and most of our connections are not centered around procurement or marketing or whatever the business might be. It's about, hey, do you have any plans this weekend? Hey, what did you do? It's connecting with people. So the LinkedIn isn't Facebook crowd. More power to you. If that's how you want to use this tool, I contend that this tool isn't really working for you anyway. You do you. But for me, I am going to put myself out there, put my hand out there, say, hi, I'm Rob. Happy to meet you. Here's a little bit about me, just to kick the conversation off. Because if people want to connect with people, that's the way to do that.
People get that in a face-to-face environment. Nobody goes to a networking event and says, hi, I'm Adam. I'm an accountant. I specialize in doing accounts. And if you need any accounts doing, I'm your man that can do your accounts for you. Because by the time you've got to the end of that phrase, the person you're talking to has left. So generally, you begin the conversation by saying, oh, it was difficult to get parked outside, wasn't it, this morning? And what's the weather like? And you have that social small talk. And then that moves on to, so do you live far from here? Oh, yeah, I live just on, oh, isn't that near the such and such shop or football ground or whatever? And it becomes an interaction and a point of getting to know one another. So why, when people so inherently get that in a face-to-face environment, do they not get it when we go into the digital space and they have to craft their interactions with effectively exactly the same audience, people that they're networking with? Why don't they understand it in that environment?
It's got to do with scale. In a one-on-one conversation, you and I can very comfortably seek commonality and then discuss it. And in the public life of the internet, it's asynchronous and it's widely public. So I need to express myself to the whole wide world all at once. And that's not very comfortable. And I don't like it, and I won't do it. Therefore, you should not do it either.
Okay, I appreciate your openness. Thank you.
but I think there's also a layer of like quote unquote strategy, right? Because if you go into a one-on-one conversation, and it's in like a fairly like comfortable space, because I will tell you, I have also been in networking events where people say what you said, Adam, and I'm like, yeah, except no one really cares about that, right? So like, how is that working for you? It's like very confusing to me, because it doesn't work in person, and it doesn't work online either. But when you think about the scale, a lot of people are going onto LinkedIn because they want to be a thought leader, or they want to get clients, or they want, everyone has their different reasons for being on it. And if one of those reasons is scale, want to get myself in front of as many people as possible, we somehow think that that's different than how we do it one-on-one. Instead of being able to say, okay, so like I come in and I tell people this all the, I've said this on the show too. I tell people this all the time about their banner image, right? Like if you have a banner image and you live in Alberta and your banner image is of mountains, you have done a very good job of starting a conversation, because most people who live here have some kind of connection to the mountains. That has nothing to do with your work, right? Like I see something that I have in common with you, and we can have a conversation about mountains. And if we like having a conversation enough, then I might be legitimately curious about what you do, and then ask you in a way that I'll remember it, instead of you just throwing it in my face. And so if we extrapolate that into how people are approaching their conversations, hi Greg, their conversations on social media, I mean, I got another one yesterday that was just like, we do this, and this is probably something that you need, even though they had interpreted that I was somehow hiring development people, and like this was the solution that I needed because I'm doing that. Bad assumption. But like, that's like going into a networking event and being like, I help people find developers. Do you need developers? And I'd be like, no, even if I did need developers. So I think there's this break when people, two things. There's the break when people go from one-on-one to scale, and then I have to do something different instead of looking at what works and then scaling it, which is what we really should do. But also that people have, I don't think, very good self-awareness of what they do in person.
But I think, yeah, well, maybe, but I think that people also, you know, they're beguiled by this global audience idea, and you know, you're the best person in the world to run events, Tracy. So you say to people, "I'm the best person in the world to run events," and you know it to be true. But
I'm not, by the way. I'm good, but I'm not the best.
No, let's assume that you think you are. You're the best. You think that you're the best person in the world, and everybody tells you that you're the best person in the world. But I don't know who you are. So when you say you're the best person in the world, or you're really good at something, I have no reason to believe you, because nobody ever says you should get me to do your events for you, because I'm not very good at events. Normally, people don't turn up, and you know, we forget the catering or something. You know, nobody ever promotes themselves like that. They say, I'm really good at this. You know, we're fantastic. Everybody's a happy client. So the problem is that when you say things like that about yourself, people have no reason to believe you. But Bob, you're in Boston. Is it the Red Sox in Boston?
Yes.
Okay. So if you were a rabid Red Sox fan, and you posted loads of stuff about the Red Sox, everybody in Boston that was a Red Sox fan would see that and go, he's just like me, because he's a Red Sox fan and I'm a Red Sox fan. And even if that's the first point of interaction with somebody, it demonstrates that there is some synergy there. Whereas me reaching out to you and saying, do you want some developers? Because I'm really good at finding developers. Actually, it has no relevance to you, and you have no reason to believe what I'm saying. So the idea of kind of just being friendly and helpful and nice, at least builds that common ground, doesn't it? You know, there's the opportunity for me to get to know you and think, I quite like this person. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're good at what they do.
And I think, you know, that one interesting piece of information data that I heard a few months ago on a marketing podcast was around the fact that, you know, lots, I would say a significant proportion of the people on LinkedIn are voyeurs. It's the same on Facebook. You know, if you go on Facebook, lots and lots of people just don't put anything on, but just keep an eye on what everybody else is doing. Lots and lots and lots of people go on LinkedIn and just keep an eye on what everybody else is doing. So back to this, is this somebody who, if they did actually reach out and connect with me, or if they did actually message me and say, hey, fancy a virtual cuppa, you know, been connected for a while and quite nice to catch up, because they've been seeing who you are for a while, they might say, do you know what, this girl's obsessed with sheep, there's no way I'm having a chat with her, so I'll make up an excuse and I'll pass, or I just won't reply to her. But on the other hand, they might say, do you know what, she looks quite interesting. I'm not really into sheep, but you know, I'll have a chat with her. Not that I'm posting much about the sheep because the sheep aren't here, but I think that's the other thing to remember, is that it's about being you, so that people, you know, people are, you know, people might have a conversation with you if the relevant opportunity arises, and not to forget that people are seeing what you're doing all the time. My concern, or my feeling about this, it's not Facebook. The other thing is it's not Instagram, and I think the way that some of LinkedIn has gone now, and I'd be interested to see if people think this sort of plays into the conversation, is this pursuit of perfect. So Instagram's all about, you know, me with my lovely selfie, you know, looking beautiful with a great background, or my, you know, my, I don't know, staged picture where I'm looking fantastic. And there's a lot of that going on LinkedIn now, because I think marketing think that's a great way to do a LinkedIn post, is look, here we are at our corporate hug and let's all go da-da at the end. Now that's not a problem, that's fine, but there's that thing about, well, the only thing I can post is something corporately perfect, and actually posting something that's me looking a bit disheveled, you know, is possibly not the appropriate thing to put on. So I think I don't know what you think about that. It's not Instagram either.
It isn't. So we got some comments here. So this is an interesting one from Jay. For me, LinkedIn really is a great way to show your accomplishments and work experiences. I think it's the worst possible place to show your accomplishments and work experiences. And the reason for that is that you're not ever going to be number one at something. You know, so Tracy's brilliant at events because she's been doing it for 15 years. Well, I've been doing it for 20 years, therefore I must be better than her. You know, and you know, she got a 96% approval rating, and I got a 97%. But you know, there's always going to be someone that's better than you. So I think that ultimately the challenge is in finding things that make people want to do business with you, because you know, where there is a global marketplace for services, there'll always be somebody that has more experience, bigger clients, been doing it longer, does it cheaper. All of these points of measurement and decision-making things. Whereas much more powerful is actually, I'm going to do business with you because I want to do business with you.
Well, that's just it, Adam.
Sorry?
People do business. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
Before they can trust you, before they can like you, they need to get to know you. So me posting anything that is less than quote unquote professional is still an opportunity for somebody to get a chance to know me, whether it's my like of the Red Sox, not right now, or my family, or my other interests or hobbies or habits. It's an opportunity for people to say, hey, I can relate to him. Or equally say, hey, he's nothing like me and I'm not interested in doing business with him. Because filtering out is just as valuable as filtering in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love this comment from Greg. Interesting. A while back, one of my missions was to make LinkedIn Facebook, and I think, you know, ultimately, it is a platform for being social on. You know, and part of this is about finding those synergy points. All salespeople build rapport with people that they want to do business with, and it enables you to build rapport at scale. You know, Rob loves the Red Sox, clearly. So yeah, exactly.
Debatable.
So finding other people that love the Red Sox, it is some commonality that they have, and that's just a fantastic basis for getting to know somebody. You know, you have something in common. That's much more powerful than having nothing in common.
Yeah, but I think, you know, the thing about making it like Facebook is that you know, your authentic self on Facebook, you might feel like you post about your children, your family, or because your mum's connected to you, or you know, your friends from school are connected to you and things like that. Whereas you don't, you know, LinkedIn can be social, but you don't have to do that on it for you to be social. So you might, but you probably won't ever see a photograph of my husband on LinkedIn, because that's not what I want to post on there. But that doesn't mean I'm not being authentic, but it is slightly different from Facebook. I wanted to pick up on the point about dating. You know, nobody dates on LinkedIn. Well, not that it was I'm into dating at all, but somebody called me beauty a number of times. Hello, beauty, on a couple of LinkedIn messages earlier in the week, which you know was quite interesting. Needless to say,
So just like on that, I think, but this is also a no like trust factor, right? And I would say like whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook, because like when I was younger, we had this group of us that like worked in the marketing team, and one of the guys called every girl sweetie. He was from Venezuela, and that was just like what he did. And because we knew him and we liked him and we trusted him, we did not feel like it was weird, because like we know you, like, and you're using it as in a very endearing way and not in a creepy way. But that's only because we know you. Right? When you get these interactions with people who don't know you, then you're like, no, you haven't earned like calling me that. Right? You haven't earned pet names. That's something that comes with no like trust, which is also like, it reminds me of this experience I had like early in my career. And I was working with a company, and all of the people on the client team were women. And so I always addressed them as ladies. Hi, ladies, in emails and things like that. And at one point, one of them said, like, it drives me nuts that you call us ladies all the time. And I was like, oh, like to me, it was just like a gender identity thing. But then she was like, I have been discriminated against in my career for so long because it's a male dominated industry. And like, I just like, it drives me nuts when like anything is like genderified. And I was like, oh, I can just not call you ladies, right? Like I can use your names. That's really easy. But that also comes with the trust, right? You put in the effort and someone ventures that because they're like, well, I think you're using this not to do what I'm experiencing of this, but like, so I'm going to share that with you. And none of that happens because you sent a cold outreach on LinkedIn and then pitched people immediately. Yeah. Right? Now, I also want to talk about when you think about LinkedIn and Facebook and like what is like personally social versus what is professionally social. I think it's really interesting to also look at our own individual definitions of what is social, because like if I'm going to go and argue with a bunch of people over political stuff or even over sports stuff on LinkedIn, would I do that in person? Now, some people might do that in person, right? That they go to the pub and they argue with the person who's cheering for the other team. That might be actually authentic for them. But if I'm not like that, but I do that on social media, then that's where we break. Greg had mentioned the thing about authenticity, and that's where you break the authenticity. Now you're not doing what you would do. And as soon as you're doing something else besides what you would do, even if it's because like, well, I'm not going to do that on LinkedIn because LinkedIn's the professional networking site and I won't do that there. Again, at the end of the day, you decide how you show up where, but that's authenticity, right? Doing what you would do, not just doing what everybody else does because that's what you do on LinkedIn or that's what you do on Facebook.
I just wanted to talk about the thing about being the best in the world at, because I think, you know, when we think about how, from the point of view of people who are in the business of sales, of making connections with people who who need our, what we've got to sell and want to buy it. I think that there's this misconception that that buying always takes place where you opt for the best one. And in procurement, you have a method that thinks about price and quality and that balance between both. For major things, for things where it doesn't matter so much about quality or just your price, but you're always thinking about that trade-off. Now, within the quality side of things, for me, there's a really important aspect which is around fit. And back to the stat that we talk about quite a lot, which is that 4 out of 5 suppliers that are invited to bid for something are known to the buyer already. Actually, some of that's around fit. We know this company, we know they do what we need to do, that they can fulfill the requirements that we've got. But also part of that is, and we know the people, and they're not going to wind the managing director up the wrong way, or they're not going to upset the garage manager, or they're not going to annoy the legal clerk that they're dealing with. So I think there's something around fit that's really interesting, where actually people being human really helps with that, because I've been involved in a number of buying, in my procurement role, where we've helped people buy things, and on the face of it, something seemed like a really good fit, and actually when we got there, the company aren't a good, let's say diplomatically, aren't a good fit, and even though they can do what they say they can do, it's just a horrible arrangement that we wish we'd never chosen them. So I think that's quite an interesting dynamic of that. And when you think about, I could buy from 200 of you, but I'm only going to think about a choice between 5 of you. How do I choose that 5? Well, fit's a really important thing, because it's about risk management there. So that's interesting, I think, just the fit.
So, Rob, sweetie.
Yes.
Obviously, Chris has got a comment here.
Chris, what's behind the sheet? Clutter. Lots and lots of clutter. 7 people, 4-bedroom house, summertime. We're in the middle of moving rooms and such. It's just coming out our ears right now. So my computer room is no sanctuary right now.
I thought it was going to be Laura Palmer. I thought she was going to come out.
This is a great comment. The difference between us all is narrowing. So too with work-life balance. There isn't. There is just life, and I think that's tremendous, isn't it? And the fact that, and I guess it was triggered by COVID, wasn't it? And the fact that we were all working from home, and so you were getting a glimpse into the client or the prospect or the supplier's home life. And during COVID, oh, hold on, that's Amazon at the door. So you'd run off and go and take in the delivery. And I guess that has opened a lot of people's minds to potentially sharing more about who they are, rather than just what they do. But the posts that trigger this isn't Facebook. Why should we be doing posts like that? Why are they important?
Posts
There's
like
people.
what?
Peopling.
Posts like this isn't Facebook. So posts about who you are. Why should you do that
Yeah.
rather than just dull, boring work posts?
Well, content is an outbound play. Despite what HubSpot would have us believe, it's not as though I post something and people immediately say, that's exactly what I need. Can you take my credit card number? That's just not how it happens, despite what people think is going to happen. So I need more likes. I need more views. I need more people seeing my stuff, reaching out to me and buying my stuff. That's not how it works.
No.
In fact, I submitted a proposal to HubSpot's inbound not this recent one, but the year prior. And it was content is an outbound play. So I did not get selected to speak at Inbound.
There's a surprise.
Guess what? It is no longer called Inbound. It is called Unbound. Because in my proposal, I made the argument that, yes, inbound was a thing and is still a thing, but content is an outbound play. You use content to show people who you are and what you know. Because the secret to success in life, and I know I've shared that here before, I love sharing it as though anyone knows what it is not about what you know. And the secret to success in life is not just about who you know. The secret to success in life is about who knows you for what you want to be known for. So your goal then is to make sure more and more people know you for what you want to be known for. You use content to allow people to get to know you for what you want to be known for. You then outreach to the right people at the right time with the right message to simply connect. And before they accept that connection, they're going to look you up. Well, who are you and why the hell should I connect with you? Oh, here's your history of the things that you believe in, the things that you like, the family, the this, the that, the whole self. And if you're using content to basically extend your hand in a warm greeting handshake, those that are interested will reciprocate, and those that don't will move on. And both of those results are perfectly valid, and both of those results are exactly what you want.
So here, I love this comment from Adil. I treat my online presence as my life. Each channel is a different window. You can see different things, but also sometimes the same things through each window, but only certain people come through the door and see it all. I think that's absolutely perfect. But I do think that the wider you make those windows, the more of that, because you can't legislate for what somebody is going to find attractive in you. So maybe they love the fact that you're an expert in your chosen field. Maybe they love the fact that you're a Red Sox fan, like you, Rob. Maybe they love the fact that you're into travel or fine dining, or you're an amateur chef or whatever it is. And this from LinkedIn user, this isn't Facebook, isn't necessarily malicious in my view. It's merely that the reader is saying that this does not match their perception of LinkedIn. It's a personal view. Yeah, and I think that's right.
It's not a personal view, though. When they make it public that this is what we believe, it is no longer a personal view.
Yeah, no, good point. But I also think, the thing that I find really fascinating about this is, and we've trained hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the years that we've been doing this, and every time somebody says, yeah, but I wouldn't share that on social, there's no point, people are not in, and often it's people are not interested in hearing that side of my life in a work environment. And yet every single one of those people, and in fact every single person on LinkedIn, the posts that they have published that get the most engagement, the most traction, the most views are all posts that are largely personal. Whether that's, it's my birthday today, whether that's here's me at the Red Sox game, whether or not, Rob, whether or not that's me having got a new job, all of those things are the things that get far more engagement than we've just added a new button on our CRM system. Isn't this exciting? Because the reality is, no, it isn't exciting. It's not even really exciting to you, or wouldn't be if you weren't being paid by the company that put the button there. So the more of this stuff that we project about who we are, the more people look at that and go, actually, you're just the same as me. And I know that I'm a decent guy, so therefore you must be a decent guy as well. And therefore there's some degree of trust there. So why do we think this, when you share something that is personal, here's me on the beach, having just had my big bonus for the year, and I've earned a vacation. So here I am on the beach with my toes in the Mediterranean. Why is it that people get so uptight about that stuff?
I mean, well, first of all, as humans, I think it's important for us to remember that we're always making assumptions about what someone else is thinking. So if you are posting a picture of whatever it is you're posting a picture of, whether that's business related or personal related, and me assuming that I know why you posted that picture is a bad assumption.
Yeah.
And we go about, and like when I hear people saying LinkedIn isn't Facebook, like to me that feels like a judgment. And either you can receive it as a judgment, that's a receiving thing, we control that about ourselves. But when we're putting that out there, when we're sharing that publicly, it is to judge somebody. It's to publicly judge somebody, to tell them that they should be doing something different than they are, which is inherently saying what I would do is better than what you would do. We can say that that's not true, but that is why, and that is how most people interpret the action. So I think that's important. Now, when it comes back to like why we may not want to, there's like a million different layers of that, right? Like I'm very comfortable with it. I was like, one of the things I wanted to share before the end of this episode is the number of people that I contract with who are fans of Lego is like most of them, right? Most of them are fans of Lego. Right? And so like, you guys, this is not a work related thing, but there's actually something really interesting about my love of Lego, right? Like you can see the types of pop culture that I'm interested in because of my Lego. I might have that in common with you. You might interpret that as like, I like to build things. I do like to build things. In fact, I like to master build things instead of building things with the instructions. So like, these are things that tell people stuff about you. And then when you're on a list
there, master build, is that like a proper thing?
It just means build things without instructions.
Right.
So be like, I want to build this. And instead of like getting a set and building the set, that you just build what you want to build. Honestly, it was Nicholas who started me on this because he decided we were going to build the world's 10 tallest buildings. They're not as tall as the world's 10 tallest buildings, but we like had to figure out how do you make this angle and what kind of piece do you need? And then how many of those pieces do you need? Because these are very tall buildings. But even that activity, right? Or me sharing that in this conversation, it is a window. We're going to use window as the analogy into who I am and how I think. And so now if you're saying I am going to shortlist 5 marketers, and I could go to LinkedIn and search marketing expert and get 1 million hits.
Literally
like,
1 million.
Yeah. Actually, last I checked, it was 1.7 million marketing experts that exist on LinkedIn. That's not the people who don't even identify themselves as LinkedIn or marketing experts. And so like you could be in that bucket, or you could be like, oh, I love that Tracy and I have the same Lego set. Let me put Tracy into that top 5, because if she likes Lego and I like Lego, then we could probably build something together. And I also don't control that assumption, right? They're making an assumption about me that I like building because I talk about Lego. Now that's a good assumption because I do like building. But when you look at how your portfolio, or I like to call it repertoire of content, adds up to what Rob said is, what do you want to be known for? I want to be known as a person who doesn't accept the status quo. I'm not going to like come into a contract and be like, yeah, everything here is great. You should just keep doing everything you're doing. Right? Like, why would you hire an expert for that? Right? Like, see, Adele and I have like all of these things we need to like connect on.
Is he a fan of giant Legos though? Is that what it is?
No. They're not Legos. There's no such word as Legos.
Oh,
it's
so
Lego.
it's just one giant Lego that he loves.
Yeah. So here's a great comment from Chris. Best performing post a day ago, over 70,000 impressions and 154 reactions. Not a work-related post, but actually, who cares? You know, this is a load of people that are engaging with it because they've been through this or their children have been through this. I guess that
let's dig into that though. Adam, you said, okay, well, who cares? It's 70,000 impressions about something not work related.
Yeah, and that should tell you everything you need to know, shouldn't it?
But so what is the value in that? Says the CRO, says the CFO. What is the value in that? Now the CMO says, oh, 70,000 impressions at X CPM, there's a value there. The finance guy says, show me the money. The money is still zero because it's about his son's canteen lunch at university.
Yeah, but
The money is zero for that post.
Well, maybe.
But
maybe
now
not.
the next post that people have seen and engaged with might be a little bit more work tangential. And it might start seeding the ground for that relationship that comes 3 months down the road, 3 years down the road. Who knows?
Very possibly. But was it Tracy that said, or maybe it was you, Rob, that said earlier on about how you publish something and then people, I think it was you, Rob, and then they phone you up with their credit card and say, I'd like to buy that thing. And it's like, that's not the way the world works. And, you know, I think that the 70,000 impressions, great. It's been served to 70,000 people. Maybe they've read it, maybe they haven't, you don't know. And maybe those people will see your next post and maybe that will seed ideas. But there's an awful lot of ifs in this. Well, maybe
Sure.
in this instance. But I think more importantly, you've got 154 reactions. So 154 people have dropped a like or a comment on it. And then you've got the opportunity to look through those 154 people and drop each one of them that's appropriate a message and go, hi, Rob, thanks for liking the post about my son's canteen lunch the other day. Have you got kids at uni? ? And try to engage those people and pull them into a conversation. And that's where, for the CRO, that's where the money is, because these are, if you've qualified these people, you know, 154 people have liked it. If you've connected to loads of people at your ICP, in all probability, a lot of those people are going to be your ICP. So you message all of them saying, do you fancy having a chat as a result of the engagement that we've had on this post? And some of those people will say yes. And those are the people that previously you've had to send an invite to your event and give them a $50 goodie bag and feed them lunch and sit them through however many hours of dull seminars that have turned them off your brand rather than onto it.
To your point, Adam, you said there was an awful lot of maybes. There's an awful lot of maybes about the 70,000 and maybe they'll see the next one. There's even still an awful lot of maybes about 154 and how many are in your ICP and how many do you reach out to and how many, and it's maybe. So it becomes a fraction of a, it's still absolutely certain that it is better than
Nothing.
the post that you didn't make.
Yeah.
Which is what 98% of the, what did we use the term, voyeurs make. 98% of the LinkedIn users post.
Did we say voyeurs?
Nothing.
Did we say peeping toms?
Yeah.
I usually say lurkers, but
Yeah.
But I think that, and the other important thing here, if we're like looking at math, right? So yeah, let's just say we're looking at the sales.
Math.
Yay, math and sales. Okay, so like most of us have like a decent number of followers on LinkedIn. It's not 70,000. It's not 70,000. And so when a post like that happens, people see you who haven't seen you before. You get new eyes. It adds up to new eyes. Now, what you do with that is like still up to you. You got to take that and do something with it. But new people are seeing you. What happens in that scenario? So I spoke at an event on Tuesday, and it was a panel about like startups and scale ups and enterprise and what's the relationship between, you know, how do you sell into enterprise and all of these different things. And the thing that I can't predict and no one can predict is what people take away when you're speaking. That's the same thing on social media, right? I come out, I do a post. I don't know what someone is going to take away from that. I have an idea of what I'm hoping people will take away from that, but I have no idea what it will be. And there was something that I said about like staying in the yes conversation, which is something I say all the time when it's related to marketing, right? Like I don't want to be in no conversations. I want to be in yes conversation. I want to be in conversations where people are looking for a yes, not in conversations where people are looking for a no. And someone else posted on LinkedIn that they were at the event and they took this away, and thank you, Tracy Borison. And like, this is the potential that happens when we come and we say what we would say, not just my company is this. Like, nobody takes that away. That wasn't the most impactful thing someone was going to hear today. But when we speak, we all have the opportunity for the people to hear us, whether that's 70,000 people or I don't know. I think Adele was actually there. I think there was maybe 100 people in the room. That is people who have never been exposed to you before, who all of a sudden are connected to you. They like skipped the know category and went directly to like. And that's available, but we have to act like it's available.
And I think the thing about the more Facebook-like posts is that they're safer for people to comment on. So back to the post about somebody's son having a meal at a uni cafeteria or whatever, that's a safe thing to like. Me having a view about AI and whether that's good for sales or not, liking that or not liking that feels, you might be thinking, I wonder what the corporate line is on this, and are we supposed to love it? They might be a competitor of ours, can I like this or not? Whereas it being a post like that is a safe place for people to come out of the lurking zone, the voyeuristic zone, and actually prove that they're on the platform, prove that they're alive and they're looking at content, and that's quite helpful as well, I think. So some of this stuff's easier to engage with because it's just not controversial, is it?
Well,
somebody running a marathon and raising money for charity, you can just like that because it's a nice.
You said about fear. I mean, the other side of fear is that when you do a post that says, we've got a fantastic new feature on our CRM system, I know that no sooner will I have clicked the like button and the phone will be ringing with you saying, you just like the post on the CRM system. Can I give you a demo of it, please? Whereas when your child is at university and they do something which you document and share with the world, there's no inherent pitch in that at all, is there? It's not like here's my son's lunch. Your son has lunch at university. Can I sell you some lunches, please? That's not a very easy transition.
Because it's even like accepting a connection request is risky in a sense, because if I actually put in our Slack channel today that I'd had this conversation with a bot. I'm in sales, this person's in sales. They started to have a conversation with me. I felt sorry for, I was going to say her, but I'm not sure it was her now. I think it was a bot, it was an AI, and replied, and off we went. And I was like, well, leave me alone, please make me feel guilty because you're messaging again. So I think, again, commenting or liking something like that is, well, one, it's easy to think of something to say because you just say, oh, that's great. I hope he has a lovely time. That's his first time there, or if it's his last lunch there, I hope it's good to see you had a successful time or whatever. But I think it's a lot easier to comment on than, a thought piece on AI when you're thinking, how can I be intellectually, how can I contribute to this in an intellectual way? And, and if I do say something, is somebody going to say, you talk a load of nonsense, or...
But I think Adil has said, I used to post personal anecdotes on LinkedIn, but always with a CTA or trying to get it to direct people to my business or work. Now I don't always have those CTAs and tend to get more engagement on purely personal posts. And I think that the reality is that everybody sees that. Well, everybody experiences that, but many people don't see it. So, often when I have a conversation with someone and I say, your personal posts are the most powerful tool for promoting you in the business space, people don't get it. And then when they look back at their own activity and they go, oh my God, I got 10 times as many likes and views on that post about my birthday or my anniversary or my new car or my holiday than I did on that post about my business. And it had been staring them in the face and they'd never even noticed it.
But I think you've got to track through to the so what bit that Rob said.
Absolutely. But it gives you a reason, doesn't it?
Did it actually help me pay the mortgage?
Yeah, but
make any sales.
But I think that all of us, we hope that if we get the formula right for this post, we'll publish the post the phone will ring, people will buy, I'll be happy. And actually, the reality is that, and you know, we did some work for a big Australian company a few years ago, and one of the guys there, he did a post based exactly on this methodology, and it went properly viral. It got nearly 3 million views, and it got 38,000 likes, and the phone didn't ring once. Because actually, if you're selling a complex B2B product, people do not phone you up and buy it. You have to sell it. And in order to sell it, you have to have a conversation. But what the personal post that has a bit of engagement on it does do is it gives you a reason to reach out to someone and say, you know, because, hi, Helen, thank you for liking the post yesterday, and a link to the post, and then a note saying, I don't think we've ever spoken. It'd be lovely to have a catch up. I'd like to hear what it is that you do. That's far less threatening and challenging than if I send you a message that says, hi, Helen, I searched on LinkedIn. Your name came up. You look like an ICP for me. Can we have a conversation, please? Because the answer to one of them is potentially yes. The answer to the other one is definitely no. You know,
There's a conversation of looking for yeses versus looking for nos.
yeah. Please, can we have a call so I can tell you all about what I do? No, that's not attractive. Please, can we have a call so you can tell me all about what you do? Is infinitely more attractive, isn't it?
That's enough about me. Now let me hear you talk to me about me.
Yeah, yeah, that's enough about me.
I had a conversation the other day, which like literally was framed as a coffee chat. Like, hey, we were both tagged in this post. Like, if we both known like this person, then we probably will get along. Let's have a chat. And this whole time, I was just like interviewed by this other person, trying to convince me that this was a gap in my funnel and I needed something to fill this gap in my funnel. And I actually, about 25 minutes into a 30-minute call, I'm like, I think I'm done with this. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you just been interviewing me all the time about my funnel. You don't know anything about me. And like, I haven't had any space to ask you any questions about you. And now I'm not confident that I want to.
So this is...
Now we're not connected anymore.
This is a great comment from Wolfram. Maybe the business posts also have a tendency to self-aggrandize the post around the company. They're shallow. Personal posts tend to lead with emotions. Absolutely. You know, and I think so much of this is just about taking it slowly, isn't it? You know, you hope that you're going to create the right post that people will phone you up and buy. But actually, it's baby steps. You know, just because you happen to be on social, if you've got an 18-month buy cycle for your product or service, it isn't magically going to become 20 minutes just because you've done a fantastic post. But what you can do is you can get people on that conveyor belt potentially, can't you?
Yeah, and back to Rob's point about sort of, you know, the hand at the event. You know, if I keep bumping into you on LinkedIn, I see something. I see the post about your son at the university cafeteria, and I like it. And then, you know, a couple of weeks later, I see the post about you, I don't know, on holiday doing something, and then, you know, a month later, I see the post about you doing something else, and I think, oh yes, you know, that's right, that person does this. I looked at their profile, they do this, or I think I need to reconnect with them. I had a bit of a handshake with them where we exchanged some comments, and now I'd quite like to have that virtual coffee with them. So I think there's something about that when in real life you might bump into somebody in the olden days where you went to networking events and you went to this and that. You might bump into somebody a few times before you actually then said, you know what, we should meet. I think we've got lots to talk about. So that's.
I would contend that we don't even overtly recall the original contacts. It's more about subliminally. We remember,
isn't it?
we bumped into this person and we had a good feeling about them when we did. And we bumped into this person again and we had a good feeling about them when we did. We don't know what caused that good feeling. And frankly, we don't care. But we're closer to knowing, liking, and trusting simply because we keep bumping into them in a context that is warm and fuzzy. versus the context that is standoffish. Here's my stuff. Not do you want to buy some? How much do you want to buy?
Yeah, a closed question, mate, is what you need.
That's right.
Do you want 8 or 10 of these, Rob?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess we are almost at time. And for everyone in the audience, it'd be nice to see loads of personal posts from you. You know, share who you are rather than what you do with.
Or any.
Yeah, absolutely. So, any final thoughts to sum up about this topic, which is it's often a fight rather than a topic, isn't it? Because people are very entrenched in a particular view about this stuff. Often seems that everyone in the audience is pretty much up for doing this, but. So go on, Rob.
Ladies first. Go ahead.
So I'm going to come back to Rob's thing. So hopefully I'm not stealing his about the who knows you for what you want to be known for. And if you are very clear on what you want to be known for and you're posting content in alignment with that, then who cares what platform it's on?
I'm going to build off of that. Who cares what platform it's on? This LinkedIn isn't Facebook. They shout at me. Who cares what you think? My mom gave me some great advice. My mom told me, you have no right to know what other people think about you. And when I processed that, what I realized was, well, if I have no right to know what they think about me, then I certainly can't care about what they think about me. And if I don't care about what they think about me, I can go on and be my authentic self. And those that appreciate it will get closer. And those that don't, I was never going to do business with them anyway. You have no right to know what other people think about you.
Yeah.
Hey, and you can delete comments.
Yeah, that too.
Like they give us this power. If you post something and someone's like, this isn't Facebook, you can delete that. It's fine.
I think just from me, I did a post this morning, a video this morning, where I was talking about a mantra that Mel Robbins has, which is, I have something important to give to the world. And when she talks about that, she says, you know, it's not that you're going to come up with something for world peace. It could just mean that you walk past somebody in the street and smile at them and they smile back at you and it makes their day. They were having a rubbish day. Somebody smiles at them and it makes them feel better. So, you know, you might post about something to do with whatever, and it might make somebody smile, and that's your important thing to give to the world. So I think, you know, that's we're authentic and we all have something important to give to the world, and post about yourself or about something you're interested in is the bit you can give to the world.
Absolutely. So thank you everybody on the panel. Thank you everybody in the audience. Fantastic comments and so many of them today. So thank you all for being part of the conversation. If you'd like to come on to join the conversation and be in the hot seat or cool seat, depending on the view of the world, please scan the QR code and drop us a line. So until next week, thank you all very much indeed for joining us, and have a great weekend, everybody.